Hi guys. I'm back after a few days of hiatus. I had a Wi-Fi issue, but we're back now and I'm here with my friend Frog, and we're going to be reading you a book today, written by Arnold LOBEL, and it is called Frog and Toad Together. And today I'm going to be reading you two stories. I hope you enjoy them. A list. One morning, Toad sat up in bed. "I have many things to do," he said. "I will write them all down on a list so that I can remember them." Toad wrote on a piece of paper, "A list of things to do today." Then he wrote, "Wake up." "I have done that," said Toad, and crossed out, "Wake up." Then Toad wrote other things on the paper. A list of things to do today. Wake up, eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, take walk with Frog, eat lunch, take nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to bed. "There," said Toad. "Now my day is all written down." He got out of bed and had something to eat. Then Toad crossed out, "Eat breakfast." Toad took his clothes out of the closet and put them on. Then he crossed out, "Get dressed." Toad put the list in his pocket. He opened the door and walked out into the morning. Soon Toad was at Frog's front door. He took the list from his pocket and crossed out, "Go to Frog's house." Toad knocked at the door. "Hello," said Frog. "Look at my list of things to do," said Toad. "Oh," said Frog, "that is very nice." Toad said, "My list tells me what we will be doing, what we will go for a walk." "All right," said Frog, "I'm ready." Frog and Toad went on a long walk. Then Toad took the list from his pocket again, and he crossed out, "Take walk with Frog." Just then, there was a strong wind, and it blew the list out of Toad's hand. The list blew high up into the air. "Help!" cried Toad. "My list is blowing away. What will I do without my list?" "Hurry, hurry," said Frog. "We will run and catch it." "No," shouted Toad. "I cannot do that." "Why not?" asked Frog. "Because," wailed Toad, "running after my list was not on the list of things that I wrote on my list of things to do." Frog ran after the list. He ran over the hills and swamps, but the list blew on and on. At last, Frog came back to the Toad. "I'm sorry," gasped Frog, "but I could not catch your list." "Bleh," said Toad. "I cannot remember any of the things that were on my list of things to do. I will just have to sit here and do nothing," said Toad. Toad sat and did nothing. Frog sat with him. After a long time, Frog said, "Toad, it is getting dark. We should be going to sleep now." "Go to sleep," shouted Toad. "That was one of the things on my list." Toad wrote on the ground with a stick, "Go to sleep." Then he crossed out, "Go to sleep." "There," said Toad. "Now my day is all crossed out." "I am glad," said Frog. Then Frog and Toad went right to sleep. The next story is called The Garden. Frog was in his garden and Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have," he said. Yes, said Frog. It is very nice, but it was hard work. I wish I had a garden, said Toad. Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground, said Frog, and soon you will have a garden. How soon? Asked Toad. Quite soon, said Frog. Toad ran home and he planted the flower seeds. Now, seeds, said Toad, start growing. Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, Now, seeds, start growing. Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, Now, seeds, start growing! Frog came running up the path. What is all this noise about? He asked. My seeds will not grow, said Toad. You are shouting too much, said Frog. These poor seeds are too afraid to grow. My seeds are afraid to grow? Asked Toad. Of course, said Frog. Leave them alone a few days. Let the sun shine on them and let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow. That night, Toad looked out of his window. Drat, said Toad, my seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark. Toad went out to his garden with some candles. I will read the seeds a story, said Toad. Then they will not be afraid. Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds, and all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds, and all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. Oh, what shall I do? Cried Toad. These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world. Then Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. Toad, wake up, said Frog. Look at your garden. Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. At last, shouted Toad, my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. And now you will have a nice garden too, said Frog. Yes, said Toad, but you were right, Frog. It was very hard work. I hope you enjoyed the stories by one of my favorite authors, Arnold LOBEL, and you'll hear more Frog and Toad tomorrow. See you then.